Everyone thought my sister was disabled, until she destroyed a boy's life with one lie. And I realized everything was fake. My sister has high-functioning Down syndrome, or at least that's what everyone thought. She pretended to be severely disabled so she could get her way all the time. But after she ruined my friend's life with a bunch of lies that changed everything, we set her up. We got her to admit, in front of everyone, that she'd been faking it for years. The Tlinda is, my little sister really does have a form of Down syndrome. It's a type called mosaic Down syndrome, where only some of her cells carry that extra chromosome. So, while she might have looked a bit different, her brain worked like anyone else's. She was just as smart as the next person. But no one else knew that. And she sure as hell knew how to use that to her advantage. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on. As a kid, I adored her. I really did. She wasn't just my sister. I treated her like someone I had to keep happy, no matter what. If she asked for help, I gave it. If she wanted something of mine, I let her have it. My parents always told me, "We're so proud of you for being such a great big sister." That was actually the last time they praised me for anything. One day, I told Madison I was too tired to do her homework. I thought she'd understand or maybe just roll her eyes and walk away. But instead, she kicked the back of my leg so hard I collapsed and couldn't breathe right. I called out for my parents, and after a few long minutes, my mom finally showed up. She cut me off mid-sentence. "Your sister has Down syndrome." Then she added, "Of course she's going to mess up sometimes." She stomped back downstairs, handed Madison her favorite ice cream, and flopped on the couch to keep watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians. My face burned with heat. I felt this crushing wave of guilt settle in. Was I really that bad of a sister? That night I found my answer. Around 2 a.m. Madison barged into my room. She said, "I figured out just how hard I had to kick you to knock you down without leaving bruises. Physics is super helpful." I looked up and saw this twisted little smirk on her face. That's when it hit me. She was pretending, playing the part of someone with more severe Down syndrome. From that moment on, things just got worse. One hot summer day, we were eating watermelon on the porch. I gave her all the juiciest slices like always. But apparently I was chewing too loud. She slugged me in the back of the head so hard I felt dizzy like I might pass out. She screamed, "Stop eating like a damn peasant." When our parents came running, I thought they'd finally help me. But instead, they rushed over to comfort her. "I'm sorry your sister can't be better," they told her. And that right there, that was my first real heartbreak. Not some boy. My parents. Since Madison and I went to the same school, I couldn't get away from her either. She spread rumors nonstop, told everyone I was awful. Every morning at school, I got the dirty looks, the whispers. It felt like everyone had already picked their side. And it wasn't mine. Everyone except Jason. Jason's brother had full Down syndrome, so he actually understood what it meant to take care of someone with it. He couldn't stand the way Madison treated me. Maybe even more than I could. He was the only one who noticed the bruises on my arms, and the scars I'd been hiding since I was too young to know what a fire drill was. Still, I didn't do anything about it. Even when Madison was being praised left and right while I got ignored, she still looked like she had Down syndrome. And I saw how strangers stared at her on the street. I heard the awful things dumb boys would say about her face. Honestly, if I were her, maybe I'd hate me too. But then she went too far. Me and Jason were just sitting in the cafeteria one day, when Madison walked up and plopped herself right on his lap. They had never even spoken before. "Hey, wanna go out with me?" she asked, batting her eyelashes like it was some teen movie. Jason, thinking fast, blurted out, "I'm gay, girly pop," and flicked his wrist like he was on stage. It made me cringe a little, but Madison didn't laugh. She was furious. I could see it in her eyes. That afternoon, I walked through the front door and my mom was already waiting. "You're not allowed to hang out with Jason ever again," she snapped. The color drained from my face. Then she dropped the bomb. "He should be locked up for what he did to your sister. I mean, sexually assaulting a girl with Down syndrome? It's disgusting." I nodded and pretended to care, then ran upstairs. On Instagram, people from school were blowing up their stories about how Jason was pissed. I cried hard. I prayed that Madison would stop there, but of course she didn't. 5 months later, she was testifying in court. No one listened to a word I said. Jason got a year behind bars. No parole. I told myself, this time, she's not getting away with it. A year in juvie gives you time to think. Not about the pain, about how to fight back. I paid attention. Every move she made. I watched her when no one else was watching. Her fake talk, her little habits. Her whole, poor me, act that made everyone pity her. By the time Jason was free, I had everything ready. The day he got out felt off. I picked him up and he didn't look all that different. But he was different. You could tell in his eyes. They looked older. Like he'd seen stuff no kid should. We drove in silence for a while, then he finally said, I spent every day thinking about how to get even. I told him I had a plan, but he cut me off. No, he said. I've got a better one. Trust me. Even his voice had changed, a rougher, colder. I didn't get it, but I said okay. The next week at school was weird. Jason started avoiding me completely. Wouldn't even glance in my direction. Then Friday came, and I saw something that made my stomach twist. Jason was sitting with Madison at lunch. They were laughing. Like, genuinely laughing. My hands were shaking. Did prison break him? Or was this part of his plan? I tried to catch his eye, but he avoided me. After school, I waited by his locker. He showed up, with Madison right next to him. She smiled like she'd won and grabbed his hand. Jason looked at me and said sorry. I realized some stuff while I was locked up. Turns out, I'm straight. And Madison's pretty great. My jaw hit the floor. Madison grinned even wider. They walked off together. I just stood there stunned. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept going over everything in my head. Jason had been the only one on my side. Now he was with the person who destroyed him. Unless, this was the plan all along? I grabbed my phone and texted him. Nothing. Saturday came, and I saw on Madison's Instagram that she was at Jason's house meeting his family. His actual family. The ones who'd raised a kid with real Down syndrome. I knew his parents. Smart people. The kind who'd see through BS. If Madison was trying to win them over, she'd have to drop the act. So I waited. Monday rolled around and something was off. Madison started speaking up in class, answering questions right, using big words. People noticed. By Wednesday, she was helping others with homework. The same kind she used to make me do. Whispers started again. But this time, not about me. They were confused. How's a girl with Down syndrome doing calculus? On Thursday, Jason's parents came to pick him up from school. I watched from across the parking lot as Madison chatted them up. Gesturing, talking fast like she was trying to impress them. His mom tilted her head, watching Madison closely. His dad? He just frowned. That night, I finally got a text from Jason. One word, patience. Friday is when everything began to crumble. In bio class, Madison corrected the teacher. He looked stunned. So did everyone else. At lunch, I sat alone, just me and my apple. I chewed loud on purpose. Crunch. Then another big bite. Crunch. Madison was nearby, sitting with Jason and his crew. She kept glancing at me, getting twitchy. Suddenly, she stood up. Jason grabbed her arm, but she yanked it away and marched straight toward me. I kept eating, staring ahead. Crunch. That's when she snapped. She ripped the apple out of my hand and hurled it across the cafeteria. It hit the wall with a loud splat. And the whole place went dead quiet. Every single person turned to look. Madison's face turned beet red with anger. She screamed at me, "You think you're so smart, huh? Chewing like that on purpose." I kept my cool and replied, "I don't know what you're talking about, Madison. I'm just eating my lunch." She lunged at me fast, but Jason jumped between us and held her back. "Babe, take it easy," he said. "She's not worth it." But Madison wasn't hearing any of it. She kept yelling, saying I'd ruined her life. That I was jealous of her. That I just couldn't handle the fact she was special. The more she ranted, the more normal she sounded. No slurred words, no mix-ups. Just clear, sharp anger pouring out of her mouth. By then, teachers were hurrying over. Then the principal showed up. And Madison kept going, but now she was using words that sounded like they came from a college lecture. Phones started coming out. One kid started recording. Then another. In a few seconds, half the cafeteria had their cameras pointed at her. Jason let her go and stepped back slowly. He looked genuinely stunned. "Madison," he said, "you sound different." And just like that, she froze. It hit her hard. She realized she'd completely blown her cover. The principal asked her to come with him. As they walked off, I could already hear the whispers starting. "Did you hear that?" She sounded totally normal. Has she been faking it this whole time? Jason sat down beside me. That was even better than I planned, he whispered. I just wanted her to let her guard down, not totally lose it. We watched as videos of Madison's meltdown started showing up all over social media. By the end of the school day, the footage had gone viral, at least within our school. The T-Linda was finally out. Crystal clear. Caught on camera in full HD. That weekend was rough. My phone kept buzzing with texts and DMs every few minutes. The screen lit up my dark room like a cheap strobe light. Everyone wanted to know what I knew. Had Madison always been like this? Was she actually faking her disability? Were all those awful stories she told about me lies? I didn't answer anyone. I was too worn down. Too tired from years of carrying the weight of her games. Then Monday came way too fast. Walking into school, I expected some chaos. But it wasn't chaotic. It was worse. The whole school was split right down the middle. Half the kids were calling Madison a liar and a manipulator. The other half still believed she was a misunderstood girl who just had a bad day. Jason found me by my locker. This isn't over, he said. We need more proof. I frowned. What do you mean? We've got that video. One video's not enough, he said. People are already making excuses for her, saying she was stressed or had a meltdown. We need something bigger. I didn't know what bigger meant, not until lunch. Madison strolled into the cafeteria like nothing had happened. Right back to her usual routine. Slurred speech. Blank expressions. The whole act was back on. But now people were paying attention. Real attention. I watched kids studying the way she moved. The way she talked. Looking for anything off. Jason sat next to me this time. We didn't say much, we just watched. Madison sat with her usual group. But you could tell something was off. Her friends looked uncomfortable. She tried chatting with them. But they barely responded. Then Ryan walked over to her table. He's one of the top students in our AP physics class. He had his textbook in hand. He asked Madison if she could help him with a tough problem. Said he'd heard she was really good at physics. The room got quiet. Madison's face turned pale. She stammered something about not being good at school stuff. But Ryan kept going. He said, "Didn't you say you figured out force vectors exactly? That's pretty advanced." She jumped up so fast she knocked her tray off the table. Food went flying everywhere. She burst into tears and ran out of the room. But as she took off, I swear I heard her mutter something about kinetic energy. And I wasn't the only one. Others heard it too. The rest of that week was tense. Madison kept doubling down on her act. But now people weren't buying it. Even the teachers started noticing. In English class, Mrs. Noason asked Madison to read out loud. Madison acted like she was struggling with simple words. But when she thought no one was watching, I caught her rolling her eyes. Ethan, who sat behind her, saw it too. After class, he told everyone. Then more stories started coming out. Times she'd used big words out of nowhere. Or solved hard problems like it was nothing. People had just brushed it off before. Now they were starting to connect the dots. By Thursday, Madison was on edge. She confronted Jason in the hallway. She asked him why he wasn't backing her up anymore. Why he was avoiding her. Jason played dumb. He told her he didn't know what she was talking about. That he still cared. She grabbed him by the shirt and said, "Stop lying. I know what you're doing." He gently pulled her hands off him and said, "Babe, you're freaking me out. You're acting like a totally different person." She stormed off. Friday is when everything blew up again. The school had an assembly about inclusion and disabilities. The principal thought it would calm everyone down. It did the opposite. During the presentation, they talked about all kinds of conditions. When they mentioned high-functioning ones, you could feel the shift. Everyone turned to look at Madison. She sat in the front row, pretending to look confused. But I could see her jaw clenched tight. Her hands balled into fists. After the assembly, she cornered me in the bathroom. "You think you've won, don't you?" she said. I calmly washed my hands and replied, "I'm not sure what you mean." She let out this weird laugh, bitter and sharp. "Jason told me everything," she hissed. "How you two planned this whole thing?" I turned toward her. I said, "Jason and I haven't talked in weeks. You made sure of that, remember?" Her face twisted into something ugly. "Stop lying," she snapped. "He told me. You're both trying to ruin me." I shrugged and went to leave. She stepped in front of the door to block me. That's when Megan walked in. Jason's cousin, she transferred here last month. She looked between us and asked if everything was okay. Madison instantly slipped back into her act, started slurring her words, said she was confused, and just needed help getting to class. Megan raised one eyebrow. Really, she said. Because it sounded like you were threatening her just now. And your speech was perfect 10 seconds ago. Madison's mask cracked for just a moment. Pure rage crossed her face. Then she shoved past Megan and stormed off. Megan turned to me. Jason's parents want to talk to you, she said. They've got questions about Madison. I agreed to go after school. That meeting was intense. Jason's parents, Linda and Frank, sat across from me in their living room. Jason was there too, quiet the whole time. Linda started. We've been watching Madison closely, she said. Something doesn't add up. She told me about Jason's brother, her other son, who had Down syndrome for real. What Madison has, she said, is different. I nodded. Frank leaned forward and said, we looked into mosaic Down syndrome. And yeah, it can vary a lot. But Madison's behavior doesn't match any real case we found. I told them everything. How when we were kids, Madison once calculated exactly how hard to kick me without leaving bruises. How she bragged about it. Linda's face darkened. She's been manipulating everyone, she said. Even the courts. Then Jason finally spoke up. I wanted to expose her, he said. But I knew she had to trust me first. Let her guard down. It worked even better than I thought. His parents exchanged a look. Frank warned us to be careful. She's already shown she'll use the law as a weapon, he said. We can't give her any more ammo. Linda agreed. But we also can't just sit back and let her keep doing this. It's not right. We talked for over an hour, trying to figure out the next step. That weekend, Madison slipped up big time. She posted something on Instagram about how tough life was with her condition. She wrote about being misunderstood, about how hard things were. But here's the kicker. She used flawless grammar, big words, perfect punctuation. Before she could take it down and post a dumbed-down version, someone screenshotted it. The screenshot blew up. By Sunday night, it was everywhere. Monday morning chaos. Madison showed up at school with our parents in tow. They went straight to the principal's office. I could hear my mom yelling from down the hallway. Something about cyberbullying and discrimination. But the principal didn't buy it. Other parents had already called. They wanted answers too. They were asking whether their kids had been fooled. Whether Madison had lied to all of us. During lunch, an announcement came over the intercom. There'd be a big parent-teacher conference that evening. Attendance was strongly encouraged. Jason found me afterward. This is it, he said. Tonight, everything comes out. Just tell the tea, Linda. No extras. No lies. Let her hang herself with her own rope, that's what Jason told me. When I got home, my parents were already furious. My mom screamed at me for 3 straight hours. She said I was trying to ruin Madison's life. That I was jealous and mean. I didn't argue. I just went upstairs and waited. The conference was scheduled for 6. When we got there, the auditorium was packed. Parents, teachers, students, everyone showed up looking for answers. The principal stepped up to the mic and said we were all there to talk about a situation involving a student. He didn't say Madison's name, but he didn't have to. Everyone already knew. He gave a little speech about how important trust and honesty were in a school community. Then he opened the floor for questions. The first person to speak was Denise, Ethan's mom. She said her son had shared some really concerning stuff about a student who might be faking a disability. She wanted to know what the school was doing about it. Before the principal could respond, my mom jumped up. This is a witch hunt, she shouted. My daughter has Down syndrome. She's being targeted for being different. That's when Linda, Jason's mom, stood up. With all due respect, she said, I have a son with Down syndrome. I know what it looks like. And what Madison's been showing doesn't match any form of it I've ever seen. The room exploded. Parents were yelling, arguing. Some defended Madison, others demanded investigations. The principal tried to calm everyone down. And then Madison stood up. Stop it, she shouted. All of you, just stop. Silence. Her chest was heaving. Her face was bright red. You want the tea, Linda? She said. Fine. Yes, I have mosaic Down syndrome. Yes, my IQ is higher than average. But do you know what it's like? To have people look at you and assume you're dumb. Before you even say a word. The room stayed quiet. She kept going. I learned early that if I leaned into it, if I acted the part, People were nicer. They gave me things. They didn't expect much from me. It was easier than fighting every single day to be seen as normal. Some parents looked sympathetic. Others not so much. My mom tried to reach out to her, but Madison jerked away. And yeah, she said, voice trembling. I used it to my advantage sometimes. But my sister, she never got it. She had the normal face, the normal life. Everyone loved her. I just wanted a little of that. Her voice cracked, but it was too late. The damage was already done. The principal stepped up and cleared his throat. Regardless of why, he said, we're dealing with serious accusations of false claims made against another student, and that needs to be addressed. That's when Jason's dad, Frank, stood up. My son spent a year locked up because of those lies, he said. 1 full year of his life gone because someone didn't tell the tea. Linda. Madison's face turned pale. She stammered. That wasn't. I didn't mean. But Frank didn't stop. We've got witnesses. People who heard Madison admit she made it up. And we've got proof she's been manipulating folks for years. This has to end. The room erupted again. The principal had to call security to settle things down. He stepped back to the mic and said the meeting was over, that the school would launch a full investigation, and that there'd be consequences for anyone involved. As we left, Madison wouldn't even look at me. My parents were silent. The car ride home felt like a coffin, still and suffocating. The next few days didn't feel real. Madison didn't come to school. The investigation was in full swing. Kids were being pulled out of class for statements. Jason and I were interviewed separately. We told them everything. Every threat, every bruise, every lie. By the time we finished, the principal looked worn out. He said in his 33 years of working in schools, he'd never seen anything like this. By Thursday, the rumor mill was buzzing again. The police were involved. Not for Madison, but for what happened to Jason. Turns out, filing a false report is a big deal. Even if you're a kid. Even if you have a disability. My parents started cracking. I heard them fighting late one night. Dad said maybe they were wrong. Maybe they should have listened to me. Mom still tried to defend Madison, but her voice didn't sound so sure anymore. Friday afternoon, I came home and found Madison packing a suitcase. She wouldn't speak. Just stuffed her clothes into the bag like she was in a hurry. Mom told me Madison was going to stay with our aunt for a while. I asked for how long. She didn't answer. That night I finally broke down. Not for Madison. Not even for my parents. For the little girl I used to be. The one who adored her sister no matter what. The one who did her homework, shared her toys, and never once stopped to ask why it was never returned. That girl was long gone. Had been for a while. I just hadn't wanted to admit it. The weekend was quiet. Too quiet. Jason came over Saturday. We sat in my backyard and didn't say much at first. Then he told me his parents were pressing charges. He said Madison would probably end up with community service, probation, maybe some therapy. I asked him if that was enough. He said, "This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about making sure she can't do it to anyone else." We sat in silence for a bit. Then he asked if I wanted to go get ice cream. I said yes. It was the first normal thing I'd done in years. We went to that place downtown with a ridiculous number of flavors. I got chocolate. He got vanilla. We sat outside and watched people pass by. No one stared. No one whispered. We were just two teenagers eating ice cream. And it felt nice. Sunday night, Madison called. First time since she left. She sounded tired. Different. She said she was sorry. That she'd been doing a lot of thinking. That she realized how much she'd hurt people, hurt me. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to forgive her right there. But the other part remembered. Every bruise. Every lie. Every time she made me feel like I was invisible. I told her I needed time. She said she understood. Said she was getting help. Real help this time. Not just faking it to get people off her back. We hung up without saying goodbye. I stared at my phone for a long time, wondering if she meant it, and if it even mattered anymore. Monday at school felt different. People were still talking, but it wasn't the only thing they talked about anymore. Life was starting to move on. Jason and I sat together at lunch. Not as a couple, just two people who'd been through hell together. Megan joined us. So did Ethan. And Chloe from English. For the first time, I had something I'd never really had before. Real friends. People who knew the Linda. And chose to stand by me anyway. Felt strange. But it felt good. My parents were still adjusting. They'd started calling me during the day, asking if I was okay, if I needed anything. It was more attention than I'd gotten from them in years. And I didn't know what to do with it. Part of me felt angry. Where was this when I was covered in bruises? When I was crying myself to sleep? But part of me was just done. Too tired to stay angry. By Wednesday, the principal made an announcement. The investigation was finished. Disciplinary actions had been taken. He didn't give details, but we all knew what it meant. Madison's record would carry the Linda now. Her college future? Compromised. Scholarships? Gone. The whole life she'd built on lies collapsing. I should have felt proud. Instead, I just felt hollow. Jason noticed. It's okay to have mixed feelings, he said. She's still your sister. I nodded, but I couldn't speak. That afternoon, I walked into the bathroom and heard someone crying. It was Jordan, a freshman. They'd been one of Madison's biggest supporters. I asked if they were okay. They said they felt dumb. Said they believed everything Madison told them. That they thought they were protecting someone who needed it. Now they weren't sure what was real. I told them it wasn't their fault. That Madison was just really good at fooling people. That wanting to protect someone isn't something to be ashamed of. Jordan nodded, wiped their eyes. Thanks for not rubbing it in, they said. I wouldn't do that, I told them. We all got tricked at some point. Then Thursday came with one more surprise. The local news wanted to cover the story. The principal shut it down fast. Said we were minors. Said we deserved privacy. I was so grateful. The last thing I needed was more attention. Jason's family wasn't as lucky. Someone leaked their name. Connected them to the case. Reporters started calling. His mom was furious. They just wanted peace. To move forward. But the internet doesn't forget. Screenshots of Madison's old posts were still making the rounds. People were analyzing every word. Pointing out inconsistencies. Comparing timelines. It was like watching a slow-motion car crash. You want to look away. But somehow you can't. Friday was Madison's birthday. In past years, it was always a big deal, parties, decorations, presents stacked high, and everyone acting like she was some kind of princess. But this year, nothing. Not even a mention from my parents. It was like the day didn't exist. I thought about texting her. Typed out message after message. Deleted every single one. What do you even say to someone who tormented you for years? Happy birthday didn't exactly cover it. Jason noticed something was off. He asked if I was okay. I said, I don't know. He said that was okay too. That healing isn't some straight road. Some days are just harder than others. We were sitting in the library when Riley walked over. They were the one who'd filmed Madison's cafeteria meltdown. The one who'd shared it in the group chat that started everything. Riley looked uneasy. They said they felt guilty. Like this whole thing was their fault. I told them it wasn't. They didn't start anything. They just hit record on something that was already happening. Still, they said, watching someone's life fall apart because of a video I took. It's a lot to sit with. I nodded. I knew what they meant. Even after everything Madison did. All the lies, the abuse. Watching her lose everything didn't feel good. It just felt sad. The weekend passed in a blur. I buried myself in homework. Watched mindless TV. Pretended just for a little while that things were normal. My parents were careful around me. They asked if I wanted to talk. I always said no. What was there to say? That I'd been right the whole time? That they should have believed me? It wouldn't fix anything. Sunday night, my dad knocked on my door. He said he was sorry. That he'd failed me. That he should have seen what was going on. I told him it wasn't his fault. That Madison was good at hiding things. He shook his head. No, he said. I should have protected you. Both of you. I should have gotten Madison real help a long time ago. Instead, I let it happen. We both did. He started to cry. I'd never seen my dad cry before. I hugged him. Told him we'd figure it out. That maybe it wasn't too late. He held me tight. Said he loved me. Said he was proud of me. For surviving. For staying strong. for still having a heart after everything. That's when I cried too. All the years of pain, of loneliness, of anger, it just poured out. We stayed like that for a long time. Then Monday came, and with it news I didn't expect. Madison was coming back to school. The administration had decided she could finish out the year. With conditions. She had to attend mandatory therapy. She couldn't come near certain students, Jason and me included. If she broke those rules, she'd be expelled, no second chances. I saw her in the hallway between second and third period. She looked smaller somehow, like all the fight had gone out of her. She saw me, started to walk my way, then paused, remembering the rules, and turned around. It was strange. For so long, she'd been this shadow over my life, a constant source of fear and pain. Now she was just a girl who'd lost everything. Part of me felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered the bruises, the screaming, the lies, and the pity vanished. Maybe someday I'd forgive her. Maybe one day we could actually be sisters again. But not today. Not yet. Today, I needed to focus on healing, on rebuilding what she tried so hard to destroy, on feeling free, on figuring out who I was without her hovering over me, on learning to live without fear, on finding my voice after years of silence. The next few weeks were strange. Madison kept her distance. She'd eat alone in the cafeteria, quiet in the corner. Kids stared, but no one talked to her. Sometimes I'd catch her watching me during class. Our eyes would meet and she'd look away. Jason told me she'd tried to talk to him once after school. Security had stepped in before she got close. They reminded her about the restraining order. She just nodded and walked away. Part of me wondered what she wanted to say. The other part didn't care. My parents were still trying to make things right. Mom made my favorite dinners almost every night. Dad actually asked about my day and listened to the answer. It felt weird, like they were reading from a script. How to be good parents 101. I went along with it. Fighting didn't seem worth it anymore. Then one night at dinner, Mom mentioned Madison's therapist wanted to do a family session. Said it might help us heal. I almost choked on my pasta. I told her, flat out, no. Dad backed me up. Said I'd been through enough already. Mom dropped the subject. School started to feel normal again. People moved on to new drama. Who was dating who? Who failed what test? Regular high school stuff. And it was nice. Jason and I spent more time together. Not dating, just hanging out. Movies. Food. Quiet moments. His parents would invite me over for dinner sometimes. His brother, Noah, would show me his drawings. They were amazing, way better than anything I could do. When I told him that, he smiled so big. You could tell it meant something. Then came the day everything shifted again. It was a Thursday. I was eating lunch with Jason and Megan when I heard shouting. I turned. Madison was standing on a cafeteria table, yelling at some poor freshman who'd accidentally bumped into her. The kid looked terrified. Everyone froze. Then came the phones. People were recording. Madison didn't care. She was shouting about respect. About how everyone thought they were better than her. A teacher rushed over. Told her to get down. She refused. Said she was sick of being treated like she was nothing. The teacher called for security. That's when Madison saw me. Her expression changed. This strange look, like something just clicked in her brain. She jumped down and came right toward me. Fast. The teacher yelled for her to stop. But she didn't. Jason stood up. Moved in front of me. Madison, stop, he said. She tried to go around him. He blocked her again. And then she snapped. She shoved him hard. He crashed into our table. Food flew everywhere. I jumped up to help him. And that's when I felt her grab my hair. She yanked me around. Screamed in my face about how it was all my fault. That I'd ruined her life. That everyone loved me and hated her. I tried to pull away, but she wouldn't let go. Kids were yelling. Teachers were running. And then out of nowhere, Noah showed up. Jason's brother. He wasn't supposed to be there. He had special ed during lunch. But there he was. Calm as anything. He walked up to Madison, looked her right in the eye and said, "Please let go of her. You're hurting her. That's not nice." Madison froze. Just stopped. Noah smiled, that sweet, honest smile of his. "It's okay to be mad," he said. "But hurting people doesn't make the mad go away. It just makes more mad." The whole place went silent. This kid with real Down syndrome. Just said what none of us could. Madison let go of my hair. Her hands were shaking. She looked around. At the teachers, the students, the phones all pointed at her. The staff stepped in. Security too. They let her out. She didn't fight. Just kept looking back at Noah. That afternoon, the school expelled her. No more chances. She'd broken every rule. Attacked 2 students. Made threats. It was done. My parents were called in to collect her things. Mom cried the whole time. Dad just looked. Done. That night, they told me Madison was going to a therapeutic boarding school. Someplace that could give her the help she needed. Far away. I asked how long. They said at least a year, maybe more. I said okay. What else was there to say? Jason had a nasty bruise from being shoved. His parents wanted to press charges again. He said no. Said he just wanted it to end. They respected his decision. Noah kept asking if Madison was okay. If she was getting help for her mad feelings. We told him yes. That she was finally getting the help she needed. He nodded. Said everyone deserves help when they're sad or angry. That kid is wiser than all of us combined. Made me wonder what might have been. If Madison had been more like him. If she'd used her brains for good instead of control. The next few days were eerily quiet. Like the calm after a storm. People at school treated me differently. Not badly, just carefully. Like I might break. I hated it. I told Jason I just wanted things to feel normal again. He said normal's a moving target. That we'd find a new one together. Megan started joining us for lunch every day. Then Ethan. Then Chloe. Even Jordan came around sometimes. I went from eating alone to having a full lunch table. It was overwhelming but good. Then, 1 week after Madison left, I found something in my locker. A letter. Her handwriting. My hands were shaking as I opened it. 3 pages long. She wrote about how sorry she was. Said therapy had made her reflect on everything. How she realized she'd been jealous of me ever since we were kids. Not because I looked normal, but because I was kind. Because people liked me just for being me. Not because they pitied me. She said she let that jealousy turn into hate. Let it eat her up. Let it control her. She said she wasn't asking me to forgive her. Just wanted me to know she was trying. Trying to be better. I read the letter twice. Then folded it up and tucked it into my backpack. I didn't know what to do with it. Didn't even know how to feel about it. When I met up with Jason after school, he could tell something was on my mind. I handed him the letter. He read it quietly, then passed it back to me. What do you want to do about it? He asked. I don't know, I said. He just nodded. That's okay, he said. You don't have to decide anything today. We walked back to his house. Noah was outside drawing with chalk on the driveway. The whole thing was covered flowers, sun, stick, people holding hands. He saw us and came running over. Asked if we wanted to help. We spent the next hour adding to his masterpiece. It was the most peace I'd felt in years. That weekend my parents sat me down. Said they were starting therapy too, family counseling. Said they needed to work through their guilt and figure out where they went wrong. They asked if I'd join eventually. I said maybe. Someday. Not yet. They said that was okay. That I could take all the time I needed. Mom had stopped watching her reality shows. Now she was reading parenting books. Dad started working from home more. Tried to be around. It was strange seeing them try so hard. But also nice. Like maybe one day we could actually be a family. That next Friday Jason asked me out. Like officially for real. Said he'd been waiting until things calmed down. Until I was ready. I told him yes. We went mini golfing. I was terrible. He wasn't much better. We laughed every time one of us smacked the ball into the water. It was simple. Normal. 2 awkward teens on a hilariously bad date. No drama. No pressure. Just us. We held hands walking home. His palm was sweaty. So was mine. Didn't matter. When he kissed me on my porch, it was clumsy, a little off-center, and completely perfect. After that, things settled into a rhythm. School. Homework. Time with friends. Dates with Jason. Sunday dinners at his place. Noah always saved me a seat. He'd tell everyone I was his friend, with this big grin that made you feel like the sun was shining just for you. His parents treated me like I was one of their own. It was everything I'd missed growing up. The warmth, the safety, the acceptance. Not for what I could do. Not for what I put up with. Just for being me. 2 months later, I got another letter from Madison. It was different this time. Less about apologies. More about growth. She wrote about what she was learning in therapy. How she was working to understand why she acted the way she did. How she'd started helping younger kids at her school who really did have disabilities. Said it felt good. Using her brain to help instead of hurt. She included a photo. Her with a group of smiling little kids. She looked different in it. Softer. Calmer. Maybe even happy. I kept that letter too. Didn't respond. But I didn't throw it away either. Later, my parents asked if I wanted to visit her. I said no. They didn't push. Just told me the door was open if I ever changed my mind. They changed a lot too. Mom had apologized more times than I could count. Said she failed both of us. Dad started coaching a special needs basketball team. Said it helped him understand what real challenges looked like. The kind families quietly fight through every day. Not the kind you make up to get attention. Now we ate dinner together almost every night. Talked like real people. It wasn't perfect. But it was better. 5 months into dating, Jason and I were still going strong. Then one day the phone rang. It was Madison. First time I'd heard her voice since everything happened. She sounded calmer. Older. Grounded somehow. She said she understood if I didn't want to talk. That she just wanted to hear my voice. To tell me she was doing better. That therapy was helping. That she'd been accepted into a college program for students with behavioral issues. Said she was learning how to cope. How to make real friends. I didn't say much. Just listened. When she asked how I was, I told her I was good. And for the first time in years. I meant it. She asked about Jason. Said she was glad we were still together. Said he was a good guy. That I deserved someone like that. There was a long pause. Then she said she had to go, group therapy was starting. Before she hung up, she said she loved me. I said okay. Not, I love you too. Just, okay. That was all I could give. Maybe someday I'd say more. But not yet. Not today. Today, okay, was enough. For both of us. Senior year brought changes. Madison wasn't coming back. She'd graduated her program, but was staying at a therapeutic college. Still getting help while she worked toward a degree. My parents visited her once a month. I didn't go, but I sent her a birthday card. She sent one back for mine. Small steps. Jason and I were still together. Looking at colleges, planning the future. We applied to a few of the same schools. Not because we had to. Just we liked the same things. If we ended up in the same place, awesome. If not, we'd figure it out. The year flew by. Prom. Graduation. Summer plans. Normal milestones I never thought I'd get to enjoy. Madison sent me a graduation card. She wrote that she was proud of me. That I was strong. That she was still sorry. I put it with the rest of her letters. My little stack of proof. That maybe people can change. Even people who once broke you. Even people who left scars. The bruises were gone. The emotional wounds? Still there but healing. A little more every day. Then came the college acceptance letters. Jason got into his dream school. So did I. Different ones. Different states. We decided to try long distance. If it worked, great. If it didn't, we'd still had this. Each other. When we needed it most. Someone who saw us at our worst. And stayed anyway. That's rare. That's something worth holding on to. The night before I left for school, my parents threw a little party. Just close friends and family. Jason and his family came. Noah gave me a drawing. It was us playing mini golf. Stick figures, but you could tell who was who. I promised to hang it in my dorm. And I did. Right above my desk. So every day, I'd see it and remember. That good things can come from terrible places. That family isn't always blood. That the people who save you sometimes aren't the ones you expect. As I packed the car the next morning, I found one last letter. This one from my parents. Telling me how proud they were. How sorry they still were. How much they loved me. That they hoped college would be everything I wanted. And that they'd always be here if I ever needed them. Better late than never. I hugged them both. Really hugged them, not just going through the motions. Mom cried. Dad too. Maybe I did a little. It was a moment we'd all needed. The drive to college was long. Plenty of time to think. About everything. Where I'd come from. What I'd survived. What I'd built from the pieces. I hadn't had the childhood I wanted. Hadn't grown up in the perfect family. But it was mine. Messy. Complicated. Flawed, but okay. Actually, more than okay. It was good. I was good. And for once, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Thanks for sticking around and listening to my story. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss more true life stories just like this one.